It's finally time to balle balle for the Kings 11 from Punjab. This is another episode of End of Days Play, and you're watching Uninvited Opinions. Nags, as you were saying before the start of the show, they huffed, they puffed, but they somehow managed to win a game after 25 days. What a game! It wasn't as exhilarating or breathtaking as yesterday's game, but it was certainly engrossing.
Or if you felt it wasn't engrossing enough, Kings 11 made sure they made it engrossing at the end. So I don't know. I don't have words to describe what I saw in those final 10, 12 balls, what their strategy was, and what was stopping them from wrapping it up in the 18th over or in the 19th over. I don't know.
Yeah, the only explanation I could think of was that they were looking for two balls of which they could hit sixes and close the game. And fortunately or unfortunately, RCB bowlers found their lines and length at an unfortunate time for Kings 11. And in the end, it made the game a little more interesting. But going back to the start of the game, RCB had the perfect template. For what they want to do. They won the toss. They chose to bat first. It looked like a decent track. They got off to a decent start as well. And then you don't know what happened. They just seem to lose momentum. I was extremely surprised with the batting order. I know it's the talk of the day. Everyone's wondering, why was AB de Villiers coming in so late? What do you have to say, man?
The lesser said the better, but I heard their captain Virat answer that uncomfortable question, in which he said it was possibly to do that they had two left-handers in their batting order to negate the two leg spinners on Kings 11 Punjab side. I don't think there can be a poorer excuse for whatever happened there. So I think this is beyond cricketing logic. They need to understand that they'll be better served if they don't repeat this.
Absolutely, and if you're telling me that AB de Villiers can't handle two leg spinners who are not
In Sharjah.
who don't have a lot of international experience in Sharjah, coming on the back of a game where he scored 73 of 33 balls, I don't know what I'm maybe seriously missing something. I know I'm a cricket novice, but even I could see the fallacy in that plan. Uh, but I think credit is due for the Kings 11 bowlers. I think they bowled really well. Murugan Ashwin was fantastic. He was bowling really well. We were questioning in the previous game why was he dropped, because I don't think he did badly. In fact, had a couple of decent games, and I think it was just Kings 11 tinkering with the lineup. And today he proved why he's so valuable to that lineup.
Yes, I had asked for a better combination for Kings 11, which could probably strengthen their batting as well. What I was looking for was Mujib to go out and Ashwin to come in. And that allows another overseas player to be accommodated. And today it was Gale, but I was saying if Gale was not available, then even Nisham could come in to strengthen that middle order. So it worked out in their favor, and it was just the right kind of pitch that Murugan Ashwin thrived on. So he was playing with the batsman in terms of speed through the air or the flight. So there was enough guile in his bowling today to outfox some of the RCB batsmen. And some of the big names, Aaron Finch, for example, has looked uncharacteristically out of sorts in many innings. So yes, he likes pace coming on the bat, but once you take that out, he really does struggle and looks rather uncomfortable. So that was the tale. So in spite of a fairly decent start, once the spin came on, in fact, Kings 11 started with spin, and they made the best use of Maxwell, and bowled his 4 overs for rather not many runs. So taking the pace off and using the spinners intelligently was the plan, and they came good today. Till the final few blows by Chris Morris, RCB actually were not looking even looking towards getting a competitive total.
Yeah, and I think the only positive for them in this game was the fact that Chris Morris again proved his late order hitting capabilities. He had a good hit, and that propelled RCB to a competitive total. And then when the Kings 11 chase started, it followed a similar pattern where they were cautious for the first couple of overs, and it seemed that they were going to dig themselves into a hole, and then suddenly something just flicked on, and both KL Rahul and Mayank Agarwal just started, hitting boundaries and sixes with, considerable ease. And I think that their batting order I think they've got a clear template in the sense KL Rahul is going to play the anchor role. He's going to bat through the innings. Mayank Agarwal is going to be the aggressor. And despite Chris Gale's presence in the team today, they decided not to break up a successful combination, which worked for them today. Gale came in. He was circumspect to start with, which is understandable. He hasn't played for a long time. But then once he got going, he showed why, his strategy of playing out dot balls and getting himself in allows him the opportunity that once he's set, he can then go bang bang and clear the boundaries with considerable ease. It worked today. It may not work on certain other occasions.
We've been talking about who should be the form batsman should be batting at a certain order ahead of. But I think for once, despite Chris Gale's reputation and the amount of runs, the mountain of runs that he scored across different T20 leagues as an opener, today it was probably the right decision to not break a steady opening stand that Rahul and Agarwal had set up. So Gale coming in at 3, I think I didn't have any problems with it. And if people are having problems with his stats in the past while batting at 3, I think there is a good opportunity for him to correct that. So he's too good a player to not cash in on whenever he wants and he sees the bowling to his liking. So he is matured enough to play out a few dot balls. If the going is tough, if the bowling is good, he's ready to soak in that pressure. And he is ready to unleash that a big stroke play of his when the opportune moment comes. So I think it worked well. And if in case he is not to succeed on a given day, I think in spite of that, they would still bank on Pooran and Maxwell to come good. So I think that's a reasonably strong and deep batting order. And with Chris Jordan, given the continuity and given the confidence that yes, he belongs to this in this 11, it will probably add confidence to his batting if such an opportunity was to come.
And the RCB bowling looked a little bit out of sorts. I think in overall in today's game, I think they got their strategy wrong both with their batting and bowling. We talked about De Villiers coming in too late. On the bowling front, we saw Washington Sundar not being used in the power play when he's been extremely successful. I don't understand, when teams try to be too cute with their strategies to say leg spinners will only bowl to right-handers, off spinners will only bowl to left-handers. If you've got excellent players in the team and they're in form, you should trust them to execute their skills irrespective of who they're playing against. So it just baffles me at times as a cricket viewer. Why not let the best players do what they're good at and just get on with the game?
Absolutely. Something that has worked for them in the past few games. We've been saying Sundar has been phenomenal in the power plays. And I don't know what logic can explain not bowling Sundar in the power play. At least he could have bowled one over, bowled the fifth or the sixth over. And I think today it was a classic case of the captain being spoiled for choice with such a long bowling, such a deep bowling unit. And in the process actually not utilizing the resources at the right moments and looking rather stupid.
The player of the match. Now the commentators went for KL Rahul. Would that be your choice?
I would be tempted to even have a look at Murugan Ashwin for the way he made his comeback. But I think Rahul, for the way he took the responsibility upon himself to bat again through the innings, and the kind of purple patch that he is in, and for the stroke play that he entertained us with, I think is not a bad choice at all. If I may remind our viewers, he across the two games against RCB, he still remains not out. And dare I say, he would love half a dozen more games against RCB.
Yeah. In my books, it was Murugan Ashwin who's the man of the match. I think RCB were going along quite well, but when he came on to bowl, he started causing a little bit of difficulties, got Aaron Finch's wicket, and that really set them back. And he bowled wonderfully to get 2 wickets and go for less than 6 runs an over in a stadium like Sharjah, where the boundaries are really small. Right. Looking at tomorrow's game, we've got the Mumbai Indians playing against KKR at Abu Dhabi. Your predictions, Nags?
Mumbai Indians comfortably the more suited team and more informed team. Unless KKR get their act together, unless Morgan finds his touch and things go to their plan, and there is a Andre Russell special, it's looking very difficult for KKR to stay in the hunt.
KKR have pulled off a couple of heists at Abu Dhabi, so I'm hoping that they pull off another one and keep the tournament a little interesting. That's a wrap for today's episode. Thank you so much for watching. If you like this video, please like and share it with your friends. Subscribe to our channel to keep more videos coming your way. And as always, we'll see you again tomorrow. Until then, bye-bye.